happens with multiple stops, and that's what has to happen for us. And the fact that we held them to 20% shooting in the last 33 minutes of the game, I thought was really, really impressive. We started out, we had 5 deflections, down 13-2. We ended up with 69 in the game. And we got some very good contributions from different people. In one of these games like this, I want to play a lot of guys, but I don't go in with a set rotation, never have, probably never will. But you want to look at a lot of different combinations and the way it works out inside of the game, and I thought that those combinations were good. I thought that when we really didn't have to sub because a guy stuck out the wrong way. And we had to sub for fouls a little bit, sub for fatigue, but we didn't have to sub because somebody stuck out because they couldn't keep up with the level, couldn't keep up with the pace, and I think that's really important moving forward. So anytime you can overcome a deficit, anytime you can continue to get better throughout the game, and anytime that they can start to learn what really matters, which is defense and rebounding, the multiple stops, creating points off turnovers, I think is really good. There's a lot of room for improvement in taking care of the ball. We're going to become a much better shooting team. We spent a lot of time at it. We don't have just the absolute knockdown guys that you and the fans have become accustomed to over the last couple of years, but they weren't always that way either. Christian Watford started out at 32% as a sophomore, ended up in the high 40s. Victor Oladipo obviously started out at 24 and 21% his first 2 years, got to 44%. So what we'll do is keep sticking with the same thing we've been doing. We just spend a lot of time on it, spend a lot of time making sure that we're reversing the ball and getting the ball inside out. We were phenomenal tonight when the ball hit the paint, whether on the post up or whether on the drive, and I thought that had a ton to do with our identity starting to come alive after being down, because early on it wasn't getting in the paint, and then we were 14 and 19 when the ball touched the paint at halftime. So that's key, and our guys continued to play like there was a lot of game left. I like that, because this team, they had everybody's attention. They had it after Valparaiso. They certainly had it after the film yesterday. I mean, there's a few seconds left in overtime, and they're at the free throw line with a chance to go up 3. And they missed both of them to stay up 1, and then Toledo makes a shot at the buzzer to beat them in overtime. And Toledo's picked to win their division in the MAC. So we knew we were playing against a team that was battle-tested. I think John Tharp is an excellent coach. It's one of the reasons we scheduled him. And I think he's got a good team, and I'm glad that we got to play 2 teams that are as from good a conference as they are in Southern Indiana and Hillsdale, and now we continue to try to work and improve as we get ready for Chicago State.
Coach, kind of following up on your creating your identity, just talk about the mentality, it seemed like, of attacking the basket tonight. It really went after that.
Well, and I think we're going to have to get better. There's 2 things that are up for grabs when the season starts right now. There's usually one. One is that everybody's 0-0. Okay, so everybody's got the same level of energy and they can do things. Well, now the game is up for grabs because the game is being called so differently. And who makes the adjustments? Who understands it best? Who can apply it and then retain it as they go through it? Those are the teams that are going to be successful. And there's going to be some wild games the first month of the season. And we want to do everything we can do to be creative, be innovative, be fast, but be disciplined. And that's where your hands have got to be free. You've got to move your feet. You've got to create angles defensively. You can't reach. You can't put that hand in the back. I'm glad it was called the way it was tonight, because we can't play frustrated. Yesterday in practice, we were too frustrated. We can't bring any body language like that, because it just knocks you off your game. And they learned that the last 2 days of practice can have a mirror effect too, you know, with the turnovers and with the fouls and turnovers that come because of it. And so that to me is a big part of it. We got to drive the ball. We're not great at playing downhill right now, with the exception of Yogi and Stan, but we'll get a lot better with playing downhill. And because that's where so many fouls are going to be created, and we'll get the ball in the post.
Just to get this one out of the way, Will, do you know anything about Wisconsin?
No, he's sore, but I think we're just trying to figure out exactly what happened there, and I think he just kind of got bumped, it looks like, by Evan on that side out of bounds play. But he's sore, but he'll go through the process of the doctors being with him, but I don't anticipate, I'm hopeful
talked about, I guess, the response to that 13-2 run, and I don't know, what does it say about this team, essentially, that it didn't kind of come all at once for them, that they had to stay focused for 5, 8, 10 minutes to kind of put something together, I guess, to eat that.
Well, that's the beauty of an early season young team, because they wanted it to come together in a few minutes. But we were determined. We got quiet, but we were determined. And sometimes you can get quiet and get sad, and that didn't happen. We were determined. And probably in that time frame, we only took one shot that I would say we need that back. We're trying to shoot too quick. And you're not going to get it all back in one shot or one stop. It's always about the possessions. Are they +4, are they -4? Are they +4, are they -4? Every time you get a stop and you go down and get a bucket, it's a +4 possession. Every time you have an empty possession and they get a point or get 2 points, it's a -4. Sometimes they're +6, -6. And that's what the game just continues to be. And what they learned inside of that is it wasn't that they needed to turn it up defensively. They needed to communicate and be more active defensively. So they were in the right spots. We knew what we wanted to do. We had a game plan, but we weren't we just weren't as active as we needed to be. So the mind was right, but the activity wasn't great. And I think they figured that out, and we got rolling.
Okay. I know they're just 2 exhibition games, but how have the freshmen grown through those 2 games?
Well, I think in Stan and Devin's case, it's their first one, so I think that was good. He would certainly love to have 2. I thought Luke was much better. I think you can see when Luke gets healthy, which he's not all the way back from that yet. I mean, we're not pushing him very hard in practice to be the physical presence that he's going to be. He's just not there yet, but he can really pass. He's going to be a guy that can score. You know, what I like is these guys adjusted. They adjusted out of timeouts. We scored out of timeouts on new things. We put a couple things in today on the walkthrough. We totally made it a daily, this is how you get ready to play a game. There was a game plan for it. Yeah, we're going to take this away, we're going to take that away, and we're going to add things because that's what it takes to play the game. And they did a good job with that. We probably scored 14 points on things we put in today, and probably another 6 on stuff we scored out that we just drew up at the time. So, I mean, those kind of things are really positive for freshmen to have to go through them. And right now, they're all getting stretched out of their comfort zone with the way they have to get on the perimeter and guard, or the way they have to guard in the post if they are a guard. And I think you can see it. We started the second half switching everything. And even 2 years ago, we wouldn't have done that. And Cody grew into that. But that's all part of the process right now. We've got to push these guys mentally and physically to be able to do things that maybe they're not ready for, because we're going to need to be ready for them quicker. You know, we don't have guys that are just going to bail us out and look at us, well, this guy's going to get us 4 threes tonight, and this guy's going to get us 3 threes tonight. It's not like that. So we've got to have that defensive element.
Tom, can you talk a little bit about specifically what you're getting from Williams? He seems to be
From
not
who?
as consistent. Troy Williams, not as consistent as you want him to be, but it seems like he's building.
Well, he's got such a, I mean, he's like shot out of a cannon every time he runs up and down the court. But today was good. He didn't have a great weekend practice-wise. And I think, again, he's still trying to come back into this and still trying. I like that he knocked down the 1-3, okay, off reversals. Didn't like that he took one real quick off the break. Eventually, he'll knock that shot down. Eventually, that'll be a big part of our offense. Right now, he's got to kind of grow into that. He's got to be able to play with fouls. He's got to be able to, you know, he got his 4th foul by being really, really aggressive. Well, that's great if you don't have 4 fouls. I mean, 3 fouls, but in that case, you can't do that. So he's going to be, you're going to watch the upside of him just continue to expand and explode. I have no doubt about that. So these kind of games are great for him. There's going to be some nights he's phenomenal. There's going to be some nights he's a freshman. But all along the way, if we can keep him on a consistency of understanding how to use his athleticism, how to read the game even better, he'll be really good. He's got to rebound better. He's got to rebound in the sense of he wants the offensive rebound to be an ESPN Sports Center tip now, which he's fully capable of. But he's got to go get the tough rebounds now. He's got to go in there and grind it out, and that's an area that I know we've got a lot of upside because we're doing that in practice, and we'll get better with that in games, just being able to rebound our own misses and create baskets and fouls out of that.
Sean?
Coach Jeremy, second in minutes tonight, and also got the start, tied for second in rebounds. You play him a little bit at the point as well. Just, is he one of those guys that seems to do better when he gets more run, when he is forced to be on the ball a little bit more?
He's got to be able to do both. If he's gonna play the way he has to play in the backcourt for us this year. And is that natural for him? Probably not, but I mean, that's what we have to do. We have to have, we don't have a lot of what you characterize as guards. That's why recruiting is so important. That's why it's been such a huge focus for us, because we don't have that. But he's got to be able to swing from one position to the other. He's got to go from being a guy that takes the ball out of bounds to maybe when he comes back in the game, he's the one getting the inbounds pass. But at the same time, he's got to have great movement, great energy, and be a catalyst for us defensively. So there's no question he wants to be a great player. He's working very hard, and we just got to continue to push him at a very high level to keep that energy going. And I thought tonight there were some times he really played through the fatigue, and then we read it when he needed to come out. And hopefully we can have a team that's like that with all of them. But he's going to have a big role for us.
Zach?
I think it was 6 turnovers in the first 7 minutes and then 10 the last 33. I guess just what changed there maybe after, I think, about the under 8 timeout.
Well, we got easier baskets because we scored off of our defense. I know we had a couple unforced. I'm not as sharp on what happened at the beginning with the turnovers. I know we missed some shots that we would make. We didn't go up to the offensive glass as strong. We had 2 offensive rebounds early, and they were the only 2 guys, both possessions, their offensive rebounds. So again, we weren't going at the glass early the way that we needed to be. But I think what happened is we got a lot more one and done type of actions. We created points off the deflections and turnovers. I know we got a 35-second call in there somewhere. So I think to me, and then we had a batch of turnovers, I think, when we got up. But it's just everybody really learning and figuring that a 40-minute game, like I said to them, there is no such thing as garbage time in Indiana basketball. I don't coach it. They're not here for it, and the fans don't pay to see it. So everything we do has got to be, we're going to carry it all the way through. And we've got to learn a lot about that.
Last question in the back.
You guys had a lot of small ball lineups in the bottom right, playing a lot of center. Was that more because that's what you guys wanted to do this season, or was that just the availability of this year?
Well, I don't think we really have what we call a center. And Cody was never a center. I mean, who guards the 5 spot, I guess, would be a little bit more. But when you're playing that way, when we were doing that, when we were big and when we were in our smaller lineups, we were still switching everything. So I think to us, it's more about the versatility of the lineups. And in answer to your question, we want to have great versatility. Noah can play multiple positions. And Noah can, when Noah figures out how fast he is, how long he is, how skilled he is, and how strong he is, look out. But he hasn't figured that out yet. I mean, he's 18 in 2 months. We've got a ways to go on that. But at the same time, we're trying to put him in a lot of situations that really stretch him, and tonight we were able to do that some.
Okay.